This video is about the preparation problems for Hess's law. So we have an equation, we have a delta H, and we're trying to find the delta H for a slightly different equation. Well, there are three main rules we need to keep in mind when trying to figure out delta H using Hess's law. First is that if you have more than one equation, then you can add those equations. Now this is a preparation problem, so there's only one equation. But if we had more than one equation, then we would add them together, and we would add delta H, and we would cancel compounds that are on the left and right side of the arrow in different equations. Second rule is that if you need to be able to get the final equation, if you need to flip the given equations, so you can get the compounds you need on the correct side of the arrow, if you need to flip that equation, then you change the sign of delta H. So if it were negative and you had to flip it, then delta H would become positive. And finally, if you need to multiply the coefficients in an equation by a certain number so that you can get that final equation that you want, then you also multiply delta H by that same number. And that's what we'll see in our example over here. So we have this data, this equation, and it's delta H. 2xO plus O2 yields 2xO2. And delta H is negative 388 kilojoules. We're trying to find delta H for 4xO plus O2 yields 4xO2. Well, I don't need to add equations because there's only one. I don't need to flip it because the correct reactants are on the left side, XO, and O2 are on the left side, XO2 is on the right side. So I'm going to need to probably multiply these coefficients. If I look at my given equation, it has coefficients of 2, 1, 2. And in the equation I'm trying to find delta H for, the coefficients are 4, 2, 4. So I'm going to multiply the coefficients in my given equation by the same number. I'm going to multiply all of those coefficients by 2. That's going to give me 4xO plus 2O2 yields 4xO2, excuse me. And that is the equation I want, so I'm good. Now I just need to multiply delta H by that same number. Negative 388 times 2. I punch that in my calculator and it gives me negative 776. Now I need the negative because I didn't flip this equation. So the delta H was negative originally and it stays negative in the answer. This is the delta H for the equation is written down below. The 4xO plus 2O2 yields 4xO2. And that's the number of kilojoules that are released when that equation